Today, I am thrilled to welcome Lady Jen DuPlessis, a team building and scaling architect, award-winning international speaker, podcaster, and TV show producer and host. Lady Jen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today.
Likewise, we have a few mutual connections. Shout out to Mr. Awesome Eric Swanson and the wonderful Sandy Scarlotta.
Yeah. Oh, I know. They're both wonderful, wonderful people.
Really good people. So for
Yeah.
today, let's go back to the beginning. How did your early experiences come to shape your ambitions?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I mean, I was known as Jenny who ain't got a penny in my family. I'm one of 36 first cousins, and we all had a nickname, all of us. And we had Dan the Man and Gene the Machine and all those. And mine was Jenny who ain't got a penny. And what really shaped, not so much that was fun for a while, because I always carried a penny in my shoe and I would share it with my uncle. I have a penny. And but one day we were driving down the road and in the work van, and I really learned a lot of work ethic from my family. They had their own business, they were entrepreneurs. But we were driving down the road and my uncle said, Jenny, one day you're going to be an alcoholic, just like your dad, John. And you're going to be a verbal abuser, just like your mom, Ginger. And you're going to be poor because they're poor. And he said, that's how the world works. Farmer's son becomes a farmer too. And that's how the world works. And while that did not trigger me, I was like, wow, that's kind of mean. And, all of those things. Of course, I knew I didn't want to be like them already, but we had a trigger moment, where I won't even go into it. I don't want to go into it because it's really not a fun thing, but it triggered me to say, I'm not going to be like them. There is no way I'm going to be like them. And I'm going to prove to everybody. So my entire life was proving. I was Miss Runner-Up Colorado. I was a state champion tennis player. I played flute and piccolo in the Colorado Springs Symphony while I was in high school. I was a cheerleader. I was pre-med to be a cardiologist, and on and on and on and on. I was proving, and never getting a girl. We're so proud of you. And so that went into my career, and I excelled there as well. Not because I had some drive to be successful, but to prove to them that I was not going to be an alcoholic or a verbal abuser, which I ended up being a workaholic.
Yeah.
And being a verbal abuser to my children, because don't you see that I'm trying to build this big business, to prove to everybody that I can write
Yeah.
with something. So I ended up becoming that, I'm not anymore, but I ended up becoming that in a certain way.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of courage as a young girl to have an adult tell you you're going to be something and then set out to prove them wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It takes a lot. And I was an only child. So yeah, out of all these 36 first cousins, I was on my own. And it's why it's why I wrote this book, Tell Me I Can't, and why I have the TV show Tell Me I Can, because it wasn't for me, don't tell me I can't. It was, go ahead,
Yeah.
tell me I can't, and watch what I do.
Yes. I love that. Tell me all the things that I can't do and let me set out to prove you wrong and to actually go ahead and do them.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So you've
Yeah.
earned the title of the scaling architect and help corporations and entrepreneurs go from 6 to 7 figures and beyond. Tell us more about your work and mission.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, how much time do we have? I'm
Yeah.
teasing. I'm teasing. I'm a podcaster too, so I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, as this life was happening of proving, there was a day where I was standing outside of a restaurant. I was at dinner with my family. And if you're not watching, I'm doing air quotes, haha, dinner. Because as entrepreneurs, we just feel like, and well, I always say this, don't work on demand, be in demand. And we tend to work on demand. And I got a phone call from a client. So I'm standing outside of this restaurant, and I'm actually walking what I now call the concrete balance beam. And we'll walk that curve, right, in a parking lot. back and forth. And even to the extent that I was opening the door for people that were coming into the restaurant while I was talking. And I realized I'm not serving my client, I'm not serving myself, I'm not serving my family. And when I had to look into the window, look through the window, I saw my family laughing and enjoying and creating all these beautiful memories, but I wasn't in them. And I said, something has to change, and that was a trigger moment for me as well, that I said, okay, how do I, and at that time I was very successful in the mortgage business. I was in the top 1% nationally, and I was closing $50 million a year, and I was making very mid six figures. But I was working ridiculous hours and excuses galore, yelling at everybody, just miserable. And I thought, gosh, there's got to be a way for me to do it. I've had enough of this, and I'm done proving. I'm going to start living, and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out that code, that magic pill, that something that will help me do the same volume I'm doing, make the same money I'm making, but do it in 4 days instead of 7 days and God knows how many hours, right? And so I set out on that adventure. And now what I have in scaling and helping people scale is that I help people move from working in and on their business to above and beyond their business.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. I know you advocate for living your legacy as you build it. What
Yeah.
does this mean to you?
Yeah, so often people say, when this happens, one side, and I've heard it referred to as one size, right? One side do this, one side do that. And what I see is that life is passing you by. And for me, looking in that restaurant window, I might as well have been on a train, right? And life was just passing me by. I was so involved in that. And a girlfriend of mine actually has a quote and I'm sure it's out there anyway, paraphrasing, right, all of it, is that we spend our health creating our wealth, and then we use our wealth to maintain our health. And that's what we do all the time. It's the glorification of busyness, that I'm more busy than you are. Me with my kids, and you don't have as many kids, and my kids are in more things, and your work is this, and I have all these clients that need me.
Yeah.
And it really is just it's quite frankly silly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a silly approach to things. And so, I was like, wait a minute, I'm not going to wait to be happy, wait to make a certain amount of money and then be out there. I'm going to live my legacy while I'm building it. I'm going to create a work life that makes my life work.
Yeah.
And having the integration. I don't believe in balance at all. We can talk about that, but I believe in that integration and separation at the same time. When I'm working, I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm not, I'm playing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm going to be playing, and I'm going to be doing the things that I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is, what is pulling you more, and what is the draw more? And so often we're just keeping up with the Joneses, and that becomes the bigger pull. Money, Facebook, right? All of those things versus what do you really want?
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, I'm happy to share that too. What I really wanted was not what I thought I wanted, right? Success.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at everybody and I want that, and I want this, and I want this. But then when I got it all, I said, that's not anything that I want.
Mm-hmm. So what was it ultimately that you did want?
Well, it was, ultimately, yeah. So originally I wanted a Mont Blanc pen because everybody had a Mont Blanc pen, and these things were $200. Now they're $600, right? And I got this Mont Blanc pen. I remember unscrewing the top and, kind of, oh, look at me, making sure the logo was facing, right? The whole thing. Until one day when I pulled it apart and it spewed all over me. And I was like, this is not what I want for success. And so what I really had to do is figure out, if I'm going to live my legacy while I'm building it, what is the legacy that I want? What is that dynasty I want to leave for my family? And I wanted to make an impact so that, we all know our parents. We all know our grandparents. Some of us know our great our great parents, but nobody knows the great grandparents. I wanted to make an impact in the world that my family in 100 years from now and 200 years from now would say, my mom did that, my great grandma did that, like Einstein gets, right? Maybe not to the level that they do, but in our family, it's important. And, make that difference in the world and help people who are going through exactly what I did go through, because I can help them get out of it, know what the pitfalls are, etc.
I think that's an important question for the listeners is, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Yeah. Yeah. And it needs to be a big one. It needs to be so big that it includes everybody who's following you as a leader in your business, with your family, with your friends. That legacy that you need to leave, it's kind of like this. And another friend of mine, she has a book. I'm paraphrasing it or something, but it's like living the dash, right? It's the dash. So when we look at a tombstone, we have our birth date, not the year, the date, the dash, and then our death date. And we don't celebrate any of that. We celebrate our birthday. The dash happens. There's nothing written about our dash.
Yeah.
It's just a little dash.
Yeah.
And then our death date, and then nobody celebrates that too. And I want people to be able, my family, to celebrate my birthday, my death date too, and say, oh, remember when she did this and how she impacted people and made their lives better and all of those beautiful things.
Yeah, I love that. And what are some steps individuals can take to start working above and beyond their business instead of in and on their business?
Yeah. So I have another phrase called mindset plus mechanics equals momentum. Because if you were me standing outside of that restaurant, right, and walking back and forth with your high heels on with your cell phone, and it was a bigger cell phone back then, walking back and I think it was a flip phone back then, but I'm walking back and forth and stuff. If you're me, you are like me, and you're doing that, you're moving 100 miles an hour. So, I had to learn to slow down so I could speed up instead of speeding up to slow down. And I took a step back and I looked at, the people around me. I have another phrase of work with people that complement and not complicate your life. And so I had to step back and say, do I really want these clients? Because these clients were taking up all my time, that it didn't allow me to do exactly what I wanted to do. And so when I hear from entrepreneurs, I'm just so busy, I don't have enough time, we have to start, filtering out and getting rid of some of the activities. And we're not doing them for the sake of doing the activity because they heard a speaker say that. Because to me, that was like eating soup with a fork, right? I was exhausted by the end of the day. I wasn't full. I wasn't fulfilled. And I certainly didn't have money in my pocket. I just had lots of activities.
Right.
And so I realized that it's not the mechanics that are going to get me where I want to go. I need to have a mind shift. And by the way, it's not just a mind shift. You can't, throw it to the universe and manifest it. Because when you get clients, you have to mechanically take care of them. You have to serve them. And so it requires both to create the momentum. So that would be the number one thing, is like, think about that mindset shift of, and I work with people about this, but shifting their minds to really start thinking about, what do they really truly want? What are some of the boundaries that they need to put in place so that their calendar isn't filled so it looks cool to everybody, and that they're stressed, right? So that's number one. The biggest thing too is you've got to get some personal and professional development completed. So many entrepreneurs, one of the reasons why we have such a high closure rate of businesses is that we're really good at our job in our cubicle, and we think that we can do better than our boss. So we leave the salary, the hours, right? Because, 9 to 5, I'm going to have freedom. We leave the salary and we go to, oh, now I'm the owner of my business. I'm in charge of my own destiny. I can choose my hours, but you're not choosing them. You're letting other people choose them for you. And I'm going to make a ton of money. And then you're not making any money because you're not, able to serve all your clients and do all the pieces that you need to do, like the marketing first, etc. So it's really, really important to really assess what those boundaries are and what you truly want in your business, and bring those professional skills in, develop those professional skills so you can read a P&L, So you manage people. If you've never been a manager and you're an entrepreneur, good luck, right? That's where management skills need to come in, and you need to get that management training. And I do management and leadership training, because we just hire everybody because they're cool.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, you're really cool. Let me bring you in. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And then we blame them and not ourselves for why it didn't work out. And so we just oscillate between in and on and in and on, and we can never make that leap into
Mhm.
the above and beyond.
Mhm. Ensuring people are trained in the right skill sets and personal development. And also, I know something else you've spoken on is building great teams. And even if you're a solopreneur, perhaps offloading like 10 hours a week of
Yeah.
office work or something onto someone else who can help you move the needle. Can you talk a little bit on that? And
Yeah.
perhaps for someone who's like struggling to delegate tasks and let go of control.
Right. Yeah, I know it's a big control factor. Okay, so there's a couple things in this. One is that Grant Cardone has he said something really cool that struck, and I just, I'm giving him credit for this, right? Is that we don't have infinite energy. We can work 60, 70 hours for a while, but at some point it's finite, right? Our energy and our time is finite. But what we can do is we can buy infinite time and buy infinite energy by hiring team members. And to your point, when you have someone who's doing 10 hours of work for you and you're worth X amount of dollars per an hour and they're worth less than that, you're buying 10 hours of productivity. If you have 10 people on your team working 20 hours a week, you get 200 hours of productivity. The key is, will it be really productive? And that's where the management skill comes in, to be able to effectively put the right people in the right position at the right time and the right sequencing with the right skills, manage them properly, because you can't manage and treat everyone the same. Um, so yeah, that is the first thing. And I know people are so hesitant. Well, I can't really afford to hire anybody. The thing is, when you hire someone for 60,000 a year, let's say, you're not paying them 60,000 today. You're paying them in little bite-sized pieces. So anytime you delegate anything to anyone, you need to not go have bombs and take a nap and party. You need to say, okay, if they're costing me $20 an hour, $30 an hour, what can I do to create more than that kind of income? So when you make that first hire, so let's say, for example, let's just say it's an admin, and you hire an administrative person for $30 an hour. You should be in a sales hour. In those hours they're working, you should be selling, so you can earn $120 an hour, $500 an hour,
Mm.
um, and not be doing other admin tasks. That's a key thing, because people said, "Oh, it freed me up so I could do I got social media so that I could do my payroll." No, 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 no. You have to do the thing you're a
Right.
genius in. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's one of the key things. And I know I said there's two, but I can't remember it right now. So
Yeah. I mean, the mindset shift of how can I look at this so that it does make sense? How can I be making more money while I'm paying this person X amount?
yeah. Yeah. And do it fast. Do it immediately in your practice. Don't wait till some other later day. I've always been a fan of, here's what happened is, when I was in mortgages, I was working so many hours, and I couldn't get past a certain revenue, right? A certain revenue. I was just capped, and I had the ability, because I had the loans, to be able to do it. So for you, it might be, I have the clients calling me, but I just can't get to them. And when I finally got rid of the little ego box on my shoulder that says, "Oh, it's me, they want me." And I said, "Hey, look, they want the experience. If I can create the experience with other people, then I can let this go." And so what I did was, I hired someone, and I just wanted to go one little step above. I ended up going 4 or 5, and now I had a whole other challenge, right? So this is what I was going to say before: the law of diminishing return. When you have one client, you can do everything from A to Z. But when you start having 5, 6, 10, whatever your number is, 30 clients, all of a sudden you're missing some alphabets. Things slip through the cracks. And the diminishing is that you used to run at 100% capacity, and now you're running at 40, 50, 60% capacity. And yet we're unwilling to hire someone who can perform at 70 or 80 because they're not good enough. Well, they're better than you.
Yeah.
You still remember you at being the 100%. So
Right.
we have to be looking at, filling that gap there. And by bringing someone in early, they can help you write down, right? You know how it goes, you know the process.
Mhm.
And so when you think of something, you just delegate, hey, write that down. Hey, put this here. Oh, let's try this. So that you don't have to sit and never do it because it's like an elephant, it's too
Mhm.
big to sit down and write out your process. So it allows you to just have those whimsical moments of, here's the skeleton of my process, but I'm going to forget things and I'm just going to let you know what they are so we can fill them in together.
Mhm.
Um, because otherwise you don't have a process and you will always have turnover, always.
Yeah, so helpful. Thank you. As a mentor, what key qualities are important for young professionals aspiring for leadership roles?
Oh, ask me the question again. There's like
Sure.
contradictory information there. I got to get it in my head.
What key qualities are important for young professionals aspiring for leadership roles?
Okay, yeah, totally good. Right now, it's funny because when I'm coaching people on leadership and management, there are so many pieces. You have DISC profile, you have Myers-Briggs, you have all these different strategies, right? So we have personalities that we have to deal with. That's number one. So we've got to know those personalities. So get the training there. Secondly, what we have is their willingness and their ability. And those things are really, it's part of a management cycle that you have to be looking at, is looking at people's ability and willingness. If someone's not getting something done, it might be that they don't understand what you taught them. And I call it drive-by delegation, right? We just drive by and we go, here, do this. And we didn't explain it enough. So it might be that they're not doing it because they don't understand, but it also might be that you've done that so many times that now when you do it, they're like, I'm not doing that. No way. You're going to throw stuff at me like that? I'm not doing that, right? So we have to constantly be assessing that and encouraging and increasing the willingness and the commitment and the ability and their competence. And then from there, we have to know how to work with every person. So we not only have the layer of the personality, but now we have, where are they in their education and development?
Mhm.
Because you treat someone with less education or ability, right? Education in your line of work differently than someone who's your rock star.
Mhm.
The goal is to get everybody to be a rock star, but you can't treat them the same way until that development, happens.
Mhm.
Now put on top of that your style, your just natural style. So you've got to maneuver and be a chameleon so that you can be the style that will fit their needs to help them grow.
Mhm.
And next, generations, the generational leadership. You have to understand we have 5 generations working in the marketplace together. They all are driven by different things, different experiences in their lives. You know, what happened with 9/11 or World War I, or, whatever those cases are. And what happened with their parents impacts how they change the way that they lead.
Yeah.
And what happens with your parents changes the way that you lead as well. And we also have social and economic factors here, that it used to be, hey, I got mine and I'm doing my own thing. And now it's a global social, what are you contributing to charity? What are you doing in the community? And so you have some generations that is, if you said, hey, I'm going to have a contest, right? And the contest is, and you get half the people going, I hate contests, right? So they're already checked out. But, I have a contest and the winner is going to get this big trophy. Well, that's one generation. They're like, yeah, I'm going to win the trophy. Another generation says, I don't care about the trophy, but you say, or you can pick, I'll donate $250 to a charity of your choice. I'm gonna win, right? So you have to know what these generations are in order to be able to spark and pull everybody along with you, so they want to follow you.
Yeah.
right? That's the difference between motivation and inspiration. Motivation is I got to get motivated, so I have to go somewhere that's outside and it's fleeting.
Mhm.
Inspiration is I can't wait to get up every single day because this is what I love to do and I want to be inspired to move forward to get my goals.
Mhm.
Well, everybody who works for you needs to have their own inspiration and understand your vision and goals so that they want to follow you and so that you're not going, yeah, we're going up this mountain. And you look back and people have fallen off cliffs and people have died and people have left and people have sores and
Yeah.
whatever. You want to bring people along with you who see that your vision will include their vision of inspiration in their life as well.
Mhm. I think that's so true. Keeping people aligned with the vision and finding different ways to get them excited about what you're doing and understanding it's so individual what each of them desire and are inspired by.
Yeah, and most managers and leaders don't ask,
Mhm.
"What are you trying to do?" They ask this question, which I never ask. Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? Right? Which is just like, are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
right.
We don't know where we're going to be tomorrow unless we
Yeah.
check our phones, right?
Yeah.
And so, what do you aspire
Mhm.
to achieve in your life?
Mhm.
What do you aspire to achieve in your work?
Yeah.
I didn't put a timeline on it. In fact, I was just in Acapulco doing my LEAP course, which is the transition between in and on to above and beyond. A 4-day immersion at this beautiful house.
Mhm.
And while we're doing it, so we went around and one of the girls said, well, I want to be able to go to Europe in 5 years. My goal is to be able to go to Europe for a month. And I said, why 5 years? And she said, well, I don't know, 5 years. I said, well, if we play all this right, you can do it much, much sooner. So don't put a cap on your, I don't know. I mean, it's like, don't
Yeah.
draw it out and
Right.
don't put a cap on it. I
Yeah.
don't, I believe in goals, but I have a very specific twist on that because I think they hold you back.
Mm.
If I
Mhm.
have 5 years, I might as well just, oh, I got 5 years. I got 5 years.
Yeah.
But if I say, hey, my goal is to have one month away as quickly as possible, how do I get to my goal?
Yeah. How can we shorten the timeline?
Yeah, what are the power plays I need to do? What are the focused activities and intentional decisions I need to make?
Yeah. So you're an author, podcast host of 2 podcasts, TV show host, international speaker, amongst countless other things. I want to hear more about the ways you simultaneously add fun and play into your life.
Yeah. Well, so these days, I don't work 4 days. I work 5, but I only work half days.
Okay.
So that's part of it, right? I only work half a day.
Yeah.
And it's funny because some days I work in the morning, some I work in the afternoon, some I work in the middle, but I only work half a day every day. I only work about 4 hours every day. I have 4 businesses, and generally what I'm doing is working one business per day. And then on the 5th day, I'm planning for next week so that I can work each one of those businesses per day. So, I have a private lending company that my daughter runs, so I am above that business. I have a Airbnb company, right? We have Airbnbs, and
Mhm.
I'm above that business because I have people that do all the picture updating and deal with all the problems and stuff, right? I have this business, which I am above and beyond, but not beyond, and that's by choice that I have. And then we have real estate investments as well, and I'm pretty much above and beyond those. I just need to make the decisions.
Mhm.
When you get to above, it's all about code blue. The only time I'm involved is when there's a code blue,
Mhm.
right? Emergency.
Mhm.
And when I'm doing visionary work or need to do plan and review, etc. I have managers in each one of those businesses that can confer with me, so I don't really have any conversation or anything with everybody else anymore. And my next beyond will be living in France. That's my next beyond. Yeah, so there's a few more things I want to do in this realm that I want to complete so that I can be in a beyond situation where I only have to be sort of the talking head when I want to be and speaking when I want to and those types of things.
What
Yeah.
part of France?
I don't know. It won't be Paris. I love Paris. I speak French.
Yeah.
I love Paris, but I want to we live in the country. We live in Hunt Country in Northern Virginia. It's beautiful steeplechase country. It's kind of, for people that don't know, it's like Kentucky Derby kind of country.
Yeah.
And we're big. I have ownership of a winery. And I really want to be in the country in France where I have to be immersed
Yeah. Immer-
into the language even more. But we like Marseille, we like Cassis, but they're all on this. I'm not really a fan of the Mediterranean, so I'd rather just be in the middle, right? Yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful. I'm excited for that chapter of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
As we begin to wrap up, is there anything you'd like to leave our audience with today?
Oh gosh, I mean, I could leave them with 1,000 different quotes and things that I use all the time. I'll leave with this quote that my mom used to give me, and I think it really is good. And so you may have to repeat this as you're listening to this, or do it in slow motion, right? Slower time. But we flatter those we scarcely know. We please the fleeting guests, but we deal many a thoughtless blow to those we love the best,
Mm.
including ourselves. So be as good to yourself as you are to your career and your business.
Mm. I love that. Thank you. And where can our listeners find you?
Best way is you can go to my website, jenduplessis.com, or just find me on social media. On social media, you'll find Lady Jen Duplessis.
Yes. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Lady Jen. It's wonderful speaking to you today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. I sure appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.